Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the command deck of the United Earth Defense Force flagship. Her fingers gripped the metal railing as she watched the massive holographic display. The message from the Galaxy Council played for the third time. Each word felt like a slap to humanity's face. The alien voice was cold and mechanical. It spoke in perfect English, which somehow made the threat worse. Humans of Earth, you have grown beyond your assigned sector. You have built colonies where you should not. You have taken resources that do not belong to you. This ends now. Sarah had heard stories about the Galaxy Council her whole life. 12 powerful alien races controlled most of the known galaxy. They decided who could expand and who could not. They decided who lived and who died. For 50 years, they had allowed humans to exist in a small corner of space. That time was over. You will return all humans to Earth immediately, the voice continued. You will destroy your ships and your weapons. You will accept permanent quarantine. If you refuse, we will begin pacification procedures. You have 30 Earth days to comply. The message ended with coordinates. A massive alien fleet was already heading toward Earth. Sarah looked around the bridge at her officers. Some looked scared. Others looked angry. All of them looked to her for answers. Ma'am? Commander Torres stepped forward. His voice was steady, but Sarah could see the worry in his eyes. What are your orders? Sarah straightened her shoulders. She had spent 20 years preparing for this moment. Not this exact situation, but something like it. Humanity had always known this day would come. The day when their expansion would anger the wrong people. Send a message to all colonial governors, she said. Full evacuation protocols. Every human ship needs to return to Earth immediately. Make it look like we're following orders. And then? Torres asked. Sarah smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Then we show them what happens when you threaten humanity. Meanwhile, on the Galaxy Council flagship, Admiral Zeftar reviewed the human response. The Vorthan warrior was 7 feet tall with blue-gray skin and 4 arms. He had conquered 12 worlds for the Council. Humans would not be a challenge. They are already pulling back their ships, reported his intelligence officer. Our sensors show human vessels leaving the outer colonies. Zeftar nodded. As expected. Humans are cowards when faced with superior force. They will surrender quickly. The intelligence officer hesitated. Sir, there are some unusual readings from their home system. Increased energy signatures. Construction activity. Defensive preparations. Zeftar waved a hand dismissively. Primitive species always try to build walls when they cannot build weapons. It will not matter. Zeftar had studied human military history. They fought each other constantly. They used crude chemical explosives and metal projectiles. Their fastest ships barely reached 1% of light speed. Their largest weapons could barely crack the surface of a small moon. The Council fleet consisted of 2,000 ships. Each one was larger and more advanced than anything humans had ever built. The smallest Council destroyer could take on 50 human warships alone. This would not be a battle. It would be an extermination. How long until we reach their system? Zeftar asked. 18 Earth days, sir. Excellent. Send a message to the Council. Tell them the human problem will be solved within 1 Earth month. Back on Earth, Sarah stood in a secret facility buried 3 miles under the Rocky Mountains. The room was filled with scientists and engineers. Holographic displays showed star maps and weapon schematics. This was Project Prometheus, humanity's last hope. Dr. Elizabeth Park approached Sarah. The lead scientist looked tired but determined. Admiral, we're ready for the final phase. All construction teams are in position. The quantum communication array is online. Sarah nodded. What about the Council technology we captured? Fully integrated. Their own weapons will be their downfall. Dr. Park smiled grimly. They think we're primitive. They don't know we've been stealing their technology for 20 years. The truth was simple. Humans were good at one thing above all others. They were good at learning from their enemies. Every time a Council ship had visited human space, humans had been watching, listening, stealing. Human spies had worked as traders and diplomats throughout Council space. They brought back technology, information, secrets. The Council thought humans were too stupid to understand advanced science. They were wrong. Begin Phase 1, Sarah ordered. Full communication blackout. Make them think we're preparing for a last stand. Around the galaxy, human agents received coded messages. Ships that looked like traders and mining vessels suddenly changed course. Hidden weapons came online. Secret bases activated their defenses. The Galaxy Council had made one critical mistake. They thought like conquerors. They believed in honor and direct confrontation. Humans thought like survivors. They believed in winning by any means necessary. On the Council flagship, Zeftar received reports from across the galaxy. "Sir, we're detecting some unusual activity in remote systems." "Energy spikes." "Communication bursts." "Probably human ships trying to hide," Zeftar said. "It doesn't matter. We will find them all eventually, but something felt wrong. The readings were too organized, too coordinated. It was almost like the humans were preparing something." Zeftar dismissed the thought. Humans were barely more advanced than animals. They had no grand strategy, no secret weapons. They were just scared and running around in panic. In the depths of space, hidden human facilities came online. Weapons that the Council had never seen before powered up. Communication networks that spanned the galaxy activated. The Galaxy Council was about to learn an important lesson. When you threaten humanity's survival, you don't get a war. You get something much worse. You get humans who have nothing left to lose. 10 days had passed since the Council's ultimatum. Human ships continued to flee from the outer colonies. To any observer, it looked like a complete surrender. The Galaxy Council was pleased with human compliance. Admiral Zeftar stood on his command bridge watching the tactical display. Green dots showed Council ships advancing toward Earth. Red dots showed human ships retreating. Everything was going according to plan. "Sir, we're receiving surrender requests from several human colonies," his communications officer reported. "They're asking for terms." Zeftar's forearms moved in what his species considered a smile. "Tell them the terms are simple. Complete evacuation. No negotiation." What Zeftar didn't know was that those surrender requests were fake. The colonies had been empty for months. Human engineers had built automated systems to send false signals. The Council was seeing exactly what humans wanted them to see. On Earth, Admiral Sarah Chen walked through the command center of Project Prometheus. Dozens of technicians worked at control stations. Wall-sized screens showed activity across the galaxy. "Status report," Sarah demanded. Commander Torres stepped forward with a data pad. "All hidden bases are now active. The quantum network is stable. Our assets are in position throughout Council space." Sarah nodded. "And the Council fleet?" "Still 8 days out. They're maintaining standard formation. No indication they suspect anything." Dr. Park approached with another scientist. "Admiral, we've finished analyzing the captured Council destroyer. Their shields work exactly as we predicted. Our new weapons will cut through them like paper." The captured destroyer had been humanity's greatest intelligence victory. 3 years ago, human pirates had managed to disable and board a Council ship. The crew never knew what hit them. The ship was taken to a secret facility where human scientists took it apart piece by piece. Every component was studied. Every system was reverse engineered. Every weakness was cataloged. The Council thought their technology was too advanced for humans to understand. They were wrong again. "What about our defensive perimeter?" Sarah asked. "Complete," Torres replied. "The Council will see exactly what we want them to see. A desperate defensive line around Earth. Old weapons. Outdated shields. They'll think we're making a pathetic last stand." The defensive perimeter was humanity's greatest deception. What looked like old human warships were actually advanced weapons platforms. What appeared to be weak shields were hiding the most powerful generators humans had ever built. The Council would arrive expecting easy targets. They would find death traps. Sarah moved to the main display. It showed a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. Red dots marked Council worlds. Blue dots marked human assets. There were far more blue dots than anyone in the Council suspected. "Show me the infiltration report," Sarah ordered. The display changed. Now it showed human agents throughout Council space. They worked as traders, diplomats, miners, and workers. Most had been in place for years. Some had even started families on alien worlds. 67 major installations, Dr. Park read from her notes. Power stations, communication hubs, military bases. Our people are in position to cripple their entire infrastructure simultaneously. The plan was simple in concept, but incredibly complex in execution. When the Council fleet attacked Earth, human agents across the galaxy would strike at the same moment. Not at military targets, but at the systems that kept Council civilization running. Power grids would fail. Communication networks would go dark. Supply lines would be severed. The Council would lose the ability to coordinate their forces or support their populations. They still don't suspect anything? Sarah asked. No, ma'am. Council intelligence reports continued to describe humans as primitive and disorganized. They believed their own propaganda. That was the Council's greatest weakness. They had ruled the galaxy for so long that they couldn't imagine being challenged. They saw humans as barely evolved animals. They couldn't conceive that humans might be smarter, more resourceful, or more dangerous than they appeared. Sarah thought about the years of preparation. Human refugees fleeing to Council worlds weren't really refugees. They were advanced scouts. Human traders selling primitive goods weren't really traders. They were intelligence operatives. Every interaction with the Council had been carefully planned. Humans played the role of inferior beings perfectly. They acted impressed by Council technology. They seemed grateful for Council protection. They appeared harmless and stupid. Meanwhile, human scientists worked in secret facilities across the galaxy. They studied captured Council equipment. They developed new weapons based on alien technology. They built a military force unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Admiral, Torres said quietly. Are you sure about this? Once we begin, there's no going back. The Council will never forgive us. Sarah looked at him steadily. They're coming here to kill every human being in existence. Forgiveness isn't on the table. This is about survival. She was right, and Torres knew it. The Council had made their intentions clear. Humanity would be eliminated as a threat to galactic order. There would be no compromise. No second chances. Begin Phase 2, Sarah ordered. Start the final preparations. Across the galaxy, hidden human bases received new orders. Weapons that had been disguised as mining equipment were moved into position. Ships that looked like cargo haulers revealed their true nature as warships. On the Council flagship, Admiral Zeftar reviewed the latest intelligence reports. Everything showed human forces in full retreat. Their largest ships were fleeing toward Earth. Their colonies were being abandoned. Pathetic, he muttered. They're not even trying to fight. His intelligence officer approached with a new report. Sir, there are some anomalies. Energy readings from systems throughout the galaxy. It's almost like something is powering up. Zeftar barely glanced at the data. Industrial activity. The humans are probably trying to build last-minute defenses. It won't help them. The intelligence officer hesitated. Sir, the pattern is very unusual. It's synchronized across multiple systems, almost like a coordinated operation. Humans don't coordinate anything beyond their own planet, Zeftar said dismissively. They're too primitive for galaxy-wide operations. But deep down, something bothered Zeftar. The humans were acting too organized, too prepared. It was almost like they had been expecting this confrontation. He pushed the thought away. The Council had overwhelming superiority in every category. Numbers, technology, experience. Even if humans had some kind of plan, it wouldn't matter. The outcome was inevitable. In 7 days, the Council fleet would reach Earth. The humans would make their desperate last stand. It would be over quickly. What Zeftar didn't know was that humans had been preparing for this moment for decades. The trap was almost ready. Soon, the Galaxy Council would learn what happened when they underestimated humanity's capacity for strategic thinking and long-term planning. The Galaxy Council fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. 2,000 warships arranged themselves in perfect formation. Admiral Zeftar studied the tactical display with satisfaction. Sir, we're detecting the human defensive perimeter, his tactical officer reported. Approximately 300 ships in a loose formation around Earth. Zeftar examined the enemy positions. The human ships looked old and battered. Their formations were sloppy. Their weapons appeared to be primitive chemical rockets and crude energy beams. They're actually going to fight, he said with amusement. I almost admire their stupidity. On the human flagship, Admiral Sarah Chen watched the Council fleet arrange itself for attack. Everything was going according to plan. The aliens saw exactly what they expected to see. Weak human ships in desperate defensive positions. They're taking the bait, Commander Torres reported. Council ships are moving into standard attack formation. Sarah smiled grimly. Good, signal all units. Phase 3 begins on my command. The Council fleet began its advance. Their massive ships moved forward in perfect lines. Their shields glowed with energy. Their weapons charged for the first devastating volley. Zeftar felt the familiar excitement of an easy victory. His ships would destroy the human fleet in minutes. Then they would bombard Earth until nothing remained alive on the surface. "Humans are opening fire," his tactical officer announced. The first human attack was exactly what Zeftar expected. Primitive missiles and energy beams struck the Council ship's shields. The weapons barely left scorch marks on the advanced alien armor. "Return fire," Zeftar ordered. "Destroy the front line." Council plasma cannons fired in unison. Beams of superheated energy lanced across space toward the human ships. But something was wrong. The beams struck the human vessels and simply disappeared. "Sir," the tactical officer said in confusion. "Our weapons had no effect. The human ships are undamaged." Zeftar stared at the display. That was impossible. Council weapons could vaporize asteroids. They should have turned the human ships into clouds of plasma. Sensor malfunction, he decided. Fire again. The second volley had the same result. Council weapons struck human ships with enough force to destroy small moons. The humans absorbed the attacks without taking any damage. On the human flagship, Sarah watched the alien confusion with satisfaction. "Their weapons are exactly as powerful as we expected. Our shields are holding perfectly." The human defensive technology was based on captured Council science. But human engineers had improved it. They had made it stronger, more efficient, and completely invisible to Council sensors. "Sir," the Council tactical officer said desperately, "the humans appear to have some kind of advanced shielding. Our weapons aren't penetrating." Zeftar felt his first moment of real concern. How could humans have better defensive technology than the Council? It made no sense. Increase power to maximum. Focus all firepower on their flagship. 100 Council ships turned their weapons on Sarah's vessel. The combined firepower could have cracked a planet in half. The human ship absorbed every blast without even slowing down. That was when the human counterattack began. What had appeared to be old cargo ships suddenly revealed their true nature. Hidden weapon ports opened. Systems that looked like primitive engines were actually advanced weapon platforms. The humans fired back with weapons the Council had never seen before. Instead of energy beams or plasma bolts, they launched what looked like simple metal rods. Zeftar almost laughed. "They're throwing metal at us? Are they insane?" The metal rods struck the first line of Council ships. They passed through the alien shields like the shields weren't even there. They punched through the armor like it was paper. They tore through the ships from front to back. 50 Council warships exploded in the first 10 seconds. "What just happened?" Zeftar shouted. His science officer was frantically analyzing the weapons. "Sir, those projectiles are moving at 98% of light speed. They're not just metal. They're some kind of exotic matter that ignores our defensive systems." The human weapons were based on a simple principle. The Council's shields and armor were designed to stop energy weapons and normal matter. They were completely useless against projectiles moving at near light speed, and made from materials that existed in a quantum state between matter and energy. But the real surprise was yet to come. Human ships began moving in ways that violated every rule of space combat. They accelerated instantly to impossible speeds. They changed direction without inertia. They appeared in multiple places at the same time. "Sir, the human ships are using some kind of quantum technology. They're not following normal physics." Zeftar watched in horror as his perfectly organized fleet fell apart. Human ships appeared behind Council formations and destroyed entire squadrons before disappearing again. They struck from impossible angles and vanished before return fire could be targeted. But the humans weren't finished. Suddenly, hundreds of new contacts appeared on the Council sensors. Ships that had looked like space debris revealed themselves as weapons platforms. Asteroids split open to reveal hidden military bases. The entire solar system was a trap. "We're surrounded," the tactical officer reported in a voice filled with disbelief. Human forces are attacking from all directions. Council ships began exploding faster than Zeftar could count. Human weapons struck with surgical precision. They targeted power systems, weapons, and engines. They disabled ships instead of destroying them when possible. It was a masterpiece of tactical planning. The humans weren't just winning. They were demonstrating complete superiority in every aspect of warfare. "Sir, we need to retreat," his first officer said urgently. We've lost 60% of the fleet. Zeftar stared at the tactical display. The perfect council formation was gone. Hundreds of ships were destroyed or disabled. The remaining vessels were scattered and confused. How? He whispered. How is this possible? The humans had done something no species in galactic history had ever accomplished. They had taken council technology, improved it, and used it to destroy the council's own forces. Sir, the communications officer said in a shaking voice. We're receiving a message from the human flagship. Admiral Sarah Chen's face appeared on the main screen. Her expression was calm and professional. Admiral Zeftar, this is your only warning. Withdraw your forces immediately, or we will destroy every ship in your fleet. Zeftar looked at the human admiral with a mixture of fear and grudging respect. You have impressive weapons, but the council has thousands of fleets. You cannot fight us all, Sarah smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. Admiral, you might want to check your communications with the council worlds. I think you'll find some interesting developments. Zeftar felt ice form in his stomach. He turned to his communications officer. Contact council headquarters immediately. There was no response. Every council world was silent. Admiral Zeftar tried every communication channel he had. Council High Command, Fleet Headquarters, the 12 homeworlds. Every signal met with silence. It was as if the entire council civilization had simply vanished. Sir, his intelligence officer said quietly, I'm detecting massive power failures across the galaxy. Communication networks are down. Transportation hubs have gone dark. Admiral Sarah Chen's voice came through the speakers again. Are you starting to understand, Admiral? While you were focused on our little solar system, my people were busy elsewhere. The truth hit Zeftar like a physical blow. The humans hadn't just been preparing to defend Earth. They had been preparing to attack the entire Galaxy Council simultaneously. Across the galaxy, the Prometheus Protocol had activated exactly as planned. Human agents who had spent years infiltrating Council society suddenly revealed their true purpose. On the Council world of Vorthak Prime, construction worker Marcus Chen placed the final charge on the main power distribution center. He had been working on Council construction projects for 8 years. His supervisors thought he was just another human refugee grateful for employment. Marcus activated the quantum communicator hidden in his toolkit. Unit 7 ready. Awaiting final authorization. Similar reports came from dozens of human agents across Vorthak Prime. They were positioned at power plants, communication arrays, transportation hubs, and government buildings. Years of careful planning had put them in perfect position to cripple the planet's infrastructure. Authorization confirmed, came the reply from Earth. Execute Operation Blackout. Marcus pressed the detonator. Explosions erupted across the planet as human agents struck simultaneously. Within minutes, Vorthak Prime was plunged into darkness. The same scenario played out on 11 other Council worlds. Decades of human infiltration paid off in a single coordinated strike. The Council's own citizens had become weapons against them, but the humans weren't just targeting infrastructure. They were targeting something much more important. They were attacking the Council's ability to think. On the Council capital world of Nexus, Dr. Elena Rodriguez worked in the main communication center. As far as her alien colleagues knew, she was a brilliant human scientist who had been invited to help improve their technology. What they didn't know was that she had been slowly introducing quantum viruses into their communication networks. These weren't ordinary computer viruses. They were designed to corrupt the Council's command and control systems at the most critical moment. When the Prometheus Protocol activated, every Council communication system began receiving false information. Military commanders received contradictory orders. Government officials lost contact with their subordinates. Emergency services couldn't coordinate responses. The Council had built their entire civilization on advanced technology and perfect communication. The humans had turned that strength into a fatal weakness. Back in Earth's solar system, Admiral Zeftar watched his tactical display in growing horror. His remaining ships were still under attack from human forces that seemed to appear and disappear at will. Sir, we're receiving emergency signals from across the galaxy, his communications officer reported. Every Council world is reporting simultaneous attacks on their infrastructure. How many humans are involved in this operation? Zeftar demanded. Admiral Chen's image appeared on his screen again. 50,000 agents, carefully placed over 20 years. Your people never suspected that the helpful human workers in your cities were actually military operatives. The scope of the human operation was staggering. For 2 decades, humans had been infiltrating every level of Council society. They had studied every weakness, cataloged every vulnerability, and planned for every contingency. "This is impossible," Zeftar said. "Our security services would have detected such a massive infiltration." Sarah smiled coldly. "Your security services were looking for weapons and soldiers. They weren't looking for refugees, workers, and scientists. You thought humans were too primitive to pose a real threat. That was the brilliant core of the human strategy. They had used the Council's own prejudices against them. The aliens believed humans were simple, honest, and incapable of complex deception. They had welcomed human immigrants as cheap labor and research assistants. Every human who entered Council space had been carefully selected and trained. They learned to act harmless and grateful. They mastered alien languages and customs. They became invisible by appearing completely ordinary." "Sir," Zeftar's tactical officer interrupted. "We're receiving reports of coordinated attacks throughout the galaxy. Human forces are emerging from hidden bases and striking at Council supply lines. The attacks weren't random. They were precisely targeted to cause maximum disruption with minimum force. Human strike teams hit fuel depots, weapon stockpiles, and repair facilities. They didn't try to hold territory. They simply destroyed everything useful and disappeared. How long have you been planning this?" Zeftar asked. "Since the day we first encountered the Council," Sarah replied. "We knew this confrontation was inevitable. Your people made it clear that humans would never be accepted as equals, so we decided to become something else entirely." The human strategy had been based on a simple understanding of galactic politics. The Council ruled through overwhelming technological superiority and perfect coordination. If those advantages could be neutralized, the Council would fall apart. "You cannot sustain this," Zeftar said desperately. "The Council has millions of ships, billions of soldiers. Eventually we will overwhelm your forces." "With what?" Sarah asked. "Your ships need fuel that comes from processing stations we've destroyed. Your soldiers need supplies that move through transportation networks we've crippled. Your commanders need communication systems we've corrupted." She was right. The Council military was designed for short, decisive conflicts against technologically inferior opponents. They had never planned for a prolonged campaign against an enemy that could strike anywhere in the galaxy simultaneously. "Sir," the communications officer said urgently, "I'm getting fragmentary reports from Council worlds. It's chaos. Government buildings are burning. Military bases are under attack. The population is panicking." Zeftar realized the full scope of the human operation. This wasn't just a military attack. It was a coordinated assault on the very foundations of Council civilization. "What do you want?" he asked finally. Admiral Chen's expression became deadly serious. "I want you to send a message to whatever's left of your government. Tell them that humanity is no longer asking for permission to exist. We're taking our place in this galaxy whether you like it or not. And if we refuse?" Sarah's smile was colder than the vacuum of space. "Then we'll show you what total war really means. This demonstration is just the beginning." Zeftar looked around his bridge at the faces of his officers. They all wore the same expression of shock and defeat. The mighty Galaxy Council had been brought to its knees in a single day by a species they had dismissed as primitive animals. For the first time in his military career, Admiral Zeftar began to consider the possibility of surrender. The Galaxy Council Emergency Assembly Hall had never seen chaos like this. Representatives from 12 worlds shouted at each other in a dozen different languages. Emergency lighting cast strange shadows on alien faces filled with fear and anger. High Counselor Vexithara, the ancient leader of the Zilani Confederacy, called for order with her 6 arms raised high. Her species had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. Today she looked old and frightened. "The situation reports are confirmed," she announced in her translated voice. "Human forces have simultaneously attacked infrastructure targets on all 12 Council worlds. Our military responses have been completely ineffective." Counselor Brexmoth of the Hegemony pounded his massive fist on the table. The rock-like alien's voice boomed through the chamber. "How is this possible? Humans are a primitive species. They have no advanced technology. Apparently we were wrong, said Counselor Trilless from the Serpentine Collective. Her snake-like head swayed as she spoke. Intelligence reports indicate that humans have been infiltrating our worlds for decades. High Counselor Vex Thara activated the main display. It showed a galaxy-wide map covered in red warning indicators. Every major council installation was either destroyed, damaged, or under attack. The humans have crippled our communication networks, destroyed our power infrastructure, and corrupted our command systems, she continued. Our military fleets cannot coordinate effectively. Our governments cannot maintain order. Admiral Zeftar's battered image appeared on a secondary screen. His once proud uniform was torn and stained. Behind him, emergency lights flickered on what remained of his command bridge. Honored counselors, he said wearily. The human fleet has completely destroyed or disabled 80% of my forces. Their weapons technology is far superior to ours. Their tactical abilities are unlike anything we have encountered. Counselor Brexmoth roared in disbelief. Impossible. No species can develop superior technology in isolation. They didn't develop it in isolation, Zeftar replied grimly. They stole it from us. 20 years of captured council equipment, 20 years of stolen technology. They used our own science against us. The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. The humans had not just defeated the council through force. They had outwitted them on every level. What are their demands? High Counselor Vexthera asked. Zeftar activated his communication system. Admiral Sarah Chen's image appeared on the main screen. She stood calmly on the bridge of her flagship, surrounded by human officers. Her expression was professional but implacable. Honored members of the Galaxy Council, Sarah began. I am Admiral Sarah Chen, speaking on behalf of the United Earth Defense Force and all human colonies throughout the galaxy. High Counselor Vexthera leaned forward. Admiral Chen, your people have committed acts of war against the Galaxy Council. We demand an immediate cessation of hostilities. Sarah's expression didn't change. You demanded that humanity return to Earth and accept permanent quarantine. You threatened to exterminate our species if we refused. We have responded appropriately to your threats. Your response has been excessive, Counselor Trilless hissed. You have attacked civilian infrastructure. We have attacked the systems that support your military aggression, Sarah corrected. We have taken great care to minimize civilian casualties. Our goal is not genocide. It is survival. Counselor Brexmoth pounded the table again. What do you want? Sarah smiled, but it was not a warm expression. Complete withdrawal of all council forces from human space. Recognition of humanity's right to expand and colonize freely. Full membership in the Galaxy Council with equal voting rights. The alien counselors erupted in angry protests. The idea of accepting humans as equals was unthinkable. They had ruled the galaxy for millennia. They were the superior species. High Counselor Vexithera raised her arms for silence. And if we refuse your demands? Sarah's smile became colder. Then we continue our current operations. As we speak, human agents throughout the galaxy are preparing for Phase 2 of our campaign. You have seen what we can do to your infrastructure. Would you like to see what we can do to your populations? The threat was clear. Humanity had the ability to bring down galactic civilization completely. They could turn the council worlds into primitives struggling to survive in the dark. This is blackmail, Counselor Trilless accused. This is negotiation, Sarah replied. You have something we want. Recognition and equal treatment. We have something you want. The continued existence of your civilization. Admiral Zeftar's voice cut through the tension. Honored counselors, I have seen human capabilities firsthand. They are not bluffing. Their military technology is decades ahead of ours. Their strategic planning is flawless. We cannot win this war. High Counselor Vexithera looked around the chamber at her fellow counselors. She saw fear in every alien face. The mighty Galaxy Council had been reduced to begging for mercy from a species they had planned to exterminate. How do we know you will honor any agreement? She asked. Because we want to be part of galactic civilization, not destroy it, Sarah answered. Humans are not conquerors. We are survivors. All we have ever wanted is the right to exist and grow alongside other species. You could have achieved that through peaceful means, Counselor Brexmoth grumbled. Sarah's expression hardened. We tried peaceful means for 50 years. You told us to stay in our corner and be grateful for the privilege of existing. When we tried to expand naturally, you threatened us with extinction. You forced this confrontation. The truth of her words hung in the air. The Council had created their own worst nightmare through arrogance and prejudice. They had underestimated humanity's intelligence, resourcefulness, and determination. High Counselor Vexthara made the hardest decision of her long life. The Galaxy Council accepts your terms. We will withdraw all forces from human space. We will recognize humanity's right to expand. We will offer Earth full membership in the Council. The other counselors looked shocked, but none of them objected. They had seen the reports. They knew the extent of human capabilities. Resistance would mean the complete collapse of everything they had built. Sarah nodded professionally. Excellent. We will begin withdrawing our forces from Council territory immediately. All captured equipment will be returned. Normal trade and diplomatic relations can resume within 30 days. How do we explain this to our populations? Counselor Trilles asked weakly. Sarah smiled, and this time it was genuinely warm. You tell them that the galaxy just became a more interesting place. Humanity brings new perspectives, new technologies, and new opportunities for cooperation. 1 year later, Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the same Galaxy Council chambers where she had once dictated terms to defeated aliens. Today, she wore the robes of a council member. The human delegation had taken their seats among the 12 founding species. The galaxy had changed dramatically. Human technology was being shared freely with council members. Human colonies were expanding rapidly through the Outer Rim. Human traders and explorers were opening new frontiers. Most importantly, the galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. Power came not from technology or numbers, but from the willingness to do whatever was necessary to survive. Humanity had demonstrated that lesson in the most dramatic way possible. As Sarah took her seat at the council table, she reflected on the long journey that had brought humanity to this moment. They had faced extinction and responded with the most audacious military campaign in galactic history. The Galaxy Council had expected a desperate last stand. Instead, they had received a masterclass in strategic thinking that left them speechless. Humanity had not just survived. They had thrived. High Counselor Vexthara called the session to order. Welcome to our newest members. The chair recognizes Admiral Chen of Earth. Sarah stood and looked around the chamber at the assembled representatives of galactic civilization. Some still viewed humans with suspicion, others with respect, all of them with wariness. Thank you, High Counselor, Sarah began. I propose that we begin discussions on expanding council membership to include the 17 species currently waiting for recognition. It's time to make this galaxy truly inclusive. The other counselors exchanged glances. Humanity's first act as council members was to advocate for other excluded species. It was a clear message about their intentions. As the debate began, Sarah smiled to herself. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had forced their way to the table through strength and cunning. Now they would use that position to make the galaxy a better place for everyone. The council had thought they were dealing with primitive animals. Instead, they had encountered the most dangerous species in the galaxy, not because humans were violent, but because they refused to accept limitations imposed by others. Earth's fierce counterattack had indeed left the Galaxy Council speechless, but it had also given them something they hadn't realized they needed. A reminder that the universe was full of surprises, and that underestimating others was the fastest path to defeat. Humanity had taken their place among the stars not as supplicants, but as equals. And the galaxy would never forget the lesson they had taught.